Hello, welcome back to this next video, and in this video I'm going to try and get this patch finished off, or the first part of the patch finished off for, for the bass line. Now at the moment, just to recap, we've got our oscillator here, a square wave output of the oscillator going into my VCA, voltage controlled amplifier, output the amplifier into the mixer so we can hear it. I'll turn up, and the amplifier is being controlled from this envelope here, envelope generator, and the envelope generator, if you remember, is being triggered by my trigger output, trigger 1 output on my 8-step analog trigger CV sequencer. So these switches here, if they're in the up position, will send a trigger out which will trigger the envelope, so we'll hear the note, and the note that we'll hear is determined by what I set these control voltages to on these 8 steps here. So if I run the sequence, nothing happening because all the triggers are switched off. If I switch the trigger on, we can hear the note. Same notes at the moment. Turn down a bit. To play the same note, if I turn these control voltage controls here, we can change the note. And that's all very well and good. If you remember, the problem is at the moment I've got my oscillator tuned to the key of C. So if I set all my voltages to back to the beat to 0, that should be a note of C. Let's just play them down. See, that's in tune with that. But as soon as I start to alter these notes, these pitches can be anything at all. They can be between semitones, and they won't fit the key of C. If I play it, it's all just totally out of tune. So we want to rectify that, and what we're going to use is this quantizer, a thing called a dual quantizer. And what this does is this, you feed it in a voltage, a control voltage, and depending on what the switches are set to, the output control voltage will be forced into a, the control voltage will be changed so that the pitch that the oscillator will generate will be an actual note in a scale, is the easiest way to describe it. It basically puts the notes into tune basically for me. I've got various switches. I can have it as all semitones, or I can have it as a major chord or a minor chord. It could be a dominant 7th chord or a 6th chord. There's all various musical switches here that I can actually switch to change the actual which note it's going to pick from which scale, from what scale. It's all going to be, because my oscillator is tuned into C, everything's going to be in C, but it could be C minor or C major or C minor 7th or whatever, depending on what I put these switches to. So I'm just going to put it onto major at the moment. Put them on to middle. So what I have to do is, the control voltage that's going into my oscillator from this row here, rather than going straight into the oscillator, first goes into the control voltage input of the quantizer. I'm going to use the bottom one. There's basically 2 of them that should be both just the same, so I can do two different things. And then we take the output of the quantizer and feed that into our control voltage input for the oscillator. Now we should hear, if I put all these back to 0, what we should hear is, start the 6 again, and also now as I turn these up, we should hear the notes change again, but they should be now fixed in the key of C. There we go. yeah, far drop it. Still a little bit out of tune, but that's because so hopefully you can hear that. Well, it's not exactly in tune. That's not bad, yeah. That's in the key of C now. Might help if I actually stop this and I turn up the gain token. You should hear now if I change this, it'll. So if I was just going straight into the oscillator and change the pitch, it would vary continuously like that. But now because I'm going into the quantizer, quantizer output goes into there. It only lets me have certain notes. If I switch this to minor, -7, that is a bit -6. So that's a minor 7th there. So that's how we get our notes into and that's how, so how you can hopefully then how you can hear. I've got a nice repeating bass pattern. I can switch notes on and off and change the note. Okay, and that is nearly the patch that I use for my bass line. There's one extra thing. And what do you got that plugged in? Shouldn't have done that plugged in. But basically what I'm going to do now is use this module here, which is a voltage control filter. Now filters are very useful because they let me change the tone of the sound. It's like a sieve really, it filters out different frequencies. This is a low pass filter, and what that does, that lets me it lets the low frequencies pass through and it filters out the high frequencies. I.e. the treble. The two main controls are the top one and the bottom one here. This one called frequency, which is actually is nothing to do with pitch. It's just this is what's known as the cut-off frequency. So this is like sets which frequencies can go through and which at the cut-off point at which frequencies are going to be taken out. And the other bottom one is resonance, and the best way to describe that is, I'll just let you hear it. It basically gives it more of a whistly sound. Let me just feed, rather than the oscillator going straight into the amplifier, I'm going to feed the oscillator into the filter first. So I'm going to change it to a sawtooth wave. So coming out of the oscillator into the filter, and then out of the filter and into the amplifier. Okay, let's listen to that sound. So let's listen to what the filter does. Okay, let's first of all put the filter with the cut-off frequency fully up, which means it's letting all the frequencies through, so we've got a nice sawtooth wave there. If I turn the cut-off frequency down, you should hear the sound gets mellower and mellower until it basically filters everything out and you can't hear anything. So we can change the tone of the sound with the cut-off frequency. If I turn up the resonance control, we get this much more. It basically just narrows the frequency band of it that you're cutting off. So well, it's actually what it's doing, it's boosting the frequencies at the cut-off point, so that we get that sort of nice whistly sound. And if we turn it right up, we get a very sort of synthesizer sort of sound, that is. And because this is a voltage controlled filter, a VCF, we can control, rather than just having to just twiddle in the knob, we can actually control the cut-off frequency from a control voltage. So for example, if I plugged in my low frequency oscillator into long enough, low frequency oscillator here into the control voltage of the filter. That sine wave is, rather than controlling the pitch going up and down, the cut-off frequency is going up and down, so we're changing the tone. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the output from my envelope, with the envelope that's controlling the amplifier. I'm going to use another output from there. Long enough. Output from the, got a secondary output from that envelope. I'm going to feed that into the cutoff frequency there. Let's turn that down. So now, when we play our sequence, so as well as that envelope controlling the volume cut, ramping off, it's also doing the you can hear that. Gives it much more musical. That gives me a nice bass line. That's how, and that is my the patch I use live for my bass sound. Analog sequencer into the oscillator, oscillator into the filter, filter into the amplifier, amplifier into the mixer, and triggering the envelope from the trigger output, and the envelope is controlling the filter and the amplifier at the same time. I could be a bit more varied and have another envelope generator, a separate envelope to control the filter to the one the amplifier, but for the bass line, it's fine just using one envelope. I find it easy enough. I have got other envelopes, but they're not in the rack at the moment. Yeah, so that's my bass patch. So next video we'll look at how I use the plates oscillator, which is pretty straightforward, which gives me my sort of melody part, and we'll look at how we use the drums as well, and then we're getting very close to the finished patch. See you next time.